Well, let's embellish just a little bit for a minute on the pressures that I see that players put on themselves, or that parents put on players, or that other players put on players. Do you see the role of a coach to help those players overcome and handle those pressures?
Absolutely.
And how do you do that?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. The kids, I think there's a lot of kids that are getting, their parents have a misperception of how good they are and what level they might be able to play at after high school. You know,
big factor.
Oh, yeah. AAU is a huge deal. And generally AAU is okay, but there's an awful lot of kids spending an awful lot of money to play AAU who are not going to play at the next level, or if they are going to play at the next level, they would have played at that level anyway. Small college girls basketball. A lot of girls, if you just want to, you can go play. Mm-hmm. I try to be realistic with them about how I see it. I'll ask questions. You know, what is it that you want?
Realistic but compassionate about it. But, you know, my heart goes out to a lot of those athletes I see around the MVC and around the country that have that undue pressure on them, and it shouldn't be that way.
No.
And I'm glad that you recognize that and help players get through that.
You know, the rumor has it that you may be ending your run sometime along the way here. Is there any truth to that? Or?
So this is a swan song?
There's always truth to it. When you're 60 years old, every year could be your last year.
Yeah.
I'm retiring from teaching in June for sure. And the odds are that I won't coach basketball, but I reserve the right to Brett Favre at the last moment. 3 years ago, I was sure I was done. And a little girl from Sparta, I won't mention her name, sent me an email that just stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
And I just sat on it for a month and decided I couldn't leave yet. Mm-hmm. And that was basically that she'd been waiting since 4th grade.
Now, what if we have some listeners here, with some viewers watching this show that are in 7th and 8th grade? Now, in the next couple of weeks, you just make it one of those infamous emails sent to you.
I think when you get as old as I am, you have to evaluate it sometimes game by game. How physically able am I to deal with all this? I also don't want to wear my welcome out. I think eventually in a small town, you know, John Sheldon said it once a long time ago, the longer you coach in a small town, the more people don't like you.
Yeah, that's right.
And eventually you wear it out. And I'll say something else. Mike Malot's a very good friend of mine. And I think Mike's going through some of the same things I went through at Toma, and maybe I'm starting to go through in Sparta, and that is that when you win 16 and 17 games a year, eventually everybody just thinks it's going to happen automatically.
Right. Regardless of the
and
talent
then
pool.
You struggle if your talent pool isn't good, or if your kids don't work like they worked when they were hungry. The bottom of the program doesn't work like it worked when they were hungry. Yeah. And people are, you know, and no longer are they satisfied with 16 or 17 wins a year. And that just happens. You know, it's a penalty for being consistently successful. And I feel my friend Mike is paying a little bit of that sometimes.
He is.
Over at West Salem, and I know I paid in Toma.
Well, you know, you talked about this. Larry asked you a question that I was going to ask you about. If this is your ride through the MVC, the very last time. But how do you want people in the MVC, in Sparta, in Toma, and in the world of basketball to remember you?
Wow. Red shoes. No, I have them on today, by the way, fellas. How do I want them to remember me as a basketball guy? Compassionate to kids, a relationship person. I mean, I still have, I had a Facebook conversation this morning with Katie Flock for 15 minutes at 7 o'clock this morning, played for me a few years ago. I get Facebook things from kids that played for me in the 80s and 90s in Toma. Basketball to me is about relationships. The game is the game, but spending 5 months in the gymnasium with kids that you don't have a relationship with would be a labor that would be torture to me. Yeah. You know, it's not that I'm close to every kid. You can't get that. Some teams closer than other teams, but when it's right and when it clicks, it is the best feeling. I hope that people see that we tried to put kids first.
Yours, as we've been talking about, has been a long and storied career. There had to be some real highlights. Just point out a couple of them.
Anytime we beat Cameron Bruce.
Which happened this year, by the way. But will it happen again at the Ranger Fieldhouse?
Who knows? Getting to coach Rhonda Rice in Toma was a privilege.
Yeah.
Never been around a human being who worked as hard to get what she wanted in my life. I don't think I'll ever see it again. In some ways, it ruined me because I was looking for the next Rhonda, and there was only one Rhonda. And Amy Strohmeyer was right there too with it.
She was. Played Division I basketball.
I think I'll tell you the thing. I know, you asked me earlier what I want people to remember. How about this? And this is a little vain, but we haven't had a losing season since 1985 in any program that I've coached. We've not had a losing season. We haven't gotten to Madison, and that is always a disappointment to me.
Yep.
We've been very close. I'm sure in the blogs and the local paper there'll be people coming on saying that we can't win the big game, and I laugh and say, well, we can get there though.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've stayed consistent for 20-some years at winning about 16 games a year is a pretty hard thing to do.
Very interesting discussion. I wish we had more time. If we had an hour, we could fill it because I really just scratched the surface of my questions here.
Here's a question, Larry. You said earlier we had some room in January. Maybe we can bring Coach Dahl back again.
It's hard to get some of these guys here, but you mentioned Cameron Bruce.
I have a suggestion.
I'm working on Cameron Bruce.
Cameron Bruce, Dwayne Veek, and me. We are the three old dogs of the area here that have been around since the early 80s, and they're both really good guys and great basketball coaches.
Right. Well, we're going to have Cameron on, and we're going to have Dwayne on, too, sometime this season.
So we're out of time for this segment, folks. We want to thank Coach Dahl for taking the time to come in here. I know you're involved in the tournament, and want to wish you good luck today. I think it's about 3:30 or something like that today.
It's the Prairie du Chien girls, and they're tough.
And for the rest of the season, and it would be nice to finish one off down in Madison.
Yeah, it would be. And Happy New Year. But we want. When are we going to find out whether this indeed is your last ride?
Well,
game by game.
Exactly. I pretty much know what I'm doing, but I don't want to make any formal kind of announcement until we're finished.
All right.
I want the kids to have their season.
We're over time here, folks. But stick around. Terry and I'll be back and finish this up in just a moment.